Welcome to the Tech Trends Podcast, where we discuss the latest manufacturing, technology, research, and news. Today's episode is sponsored by Modern Machine Shop Made in USA Podcast. I'm Ramia Lloyd, and I'm here with...
I'm Elissa Davis.
I'm Stephen Lamarca.
And I'm Ben Moses. What's up, everyone?
Hi, friends.
We all said our names. Nobody deviated from the plan. We all... Sorry.
See?
That was amazing.
What a
Doesn't
day.
usually happen like that.
You got to celebrate the wins when you can.
Yeah.
Steve, I know you found an interesting article on history of 3D printers, specifically...
Yeah, let me elaborate on that.
Yeah.
Voxel Matters published an amazing listicle. Say what you want about listicles. This
I
one
love a
was
listicle.
fire.
Okay.
Voxel Matters. Their title is 10 Most Disruptive 3D Printers in the History of Desktop 3D Printing. So we're not talking about industrial, we're talking about consumer. And let me just go through this list real quick. So number 10 is MakerBot Cupcake CNC. That one I've heard of. A lot of plywood on it. Then number 9, I didn't hear of the Up Plus. Don't know that one. Then number 8 is our first Delta arm and maybe our only Delta arm on the list, the Rockstock Delta. Then the Zotrax M200. Haven't heard of it. Then number 6, Formlabs Form 1. And what's really cool about this, the source of the picture is Kickstarter. So it's like a member company that is major, like epic in 3D printing now. Like they've got one of the biggest booths at IMTS in the additive sector. They started on Kickstarter.
Sure.
Like that's wild to
That's
me.
so fun.
Number 5.
As you're going through the list, I was looking at the pictures on the article. It is actually useful to see like the construction of some of these.
You really want, like, I
Okay.
implore you to go look at this article to actually see the pictures. Like, lot of plywood, a lot of pipes, cheap material, zip ties.
Yeah.
Like, it's epic. Number 5, the Ultimaker. Number 4, another MakerBot, the Replicator 2. Number 3, Darwin. Look at all those, like, pipes and tubes and stuff. Never even heard of this one. Number 2, Bamboo Lab X1. You're darn right that this should be on there as disruptive. This is more current times, but these are insanely good printer. Everything that Bamboo makes is insanely good, and frankly is the level up 3D printer that everybody should have started at, but probably ends up going to because they're reliable, they're precise, the surface finish is incredible. Number 1, the Prusa i3. And I think Prusa absolutely deserves to be at the top spot, even more so than Bamboo at number 2, or even Formlabs, because Prusa is just so widespread. A lot of people, like it's the standard to which all others are judged.
I see their name a lot on Reddit quite a bit.
Yeah.
And also a lot of those GrabCAD or Tinkercad.
Yeah.
A lot of the models and like the baseline prints.
Well, they had a model repository that got in trouble a few times from major companies like Honda being like, hey, you have to take these part designs down. Like, sure, we don't make them anymore, but it's still our IP. And you shouldn't be allowed to print repair parts for your 93 Civic that we don't make parts for anymore.
Just a couple of years
It's
ago.
such a jerk thing to do, though. And I love Honda, so that hurts. But like, Prusa, you know, I forget the word that Jules always used to yell. Whatever.
No, but you do bring up an interesting point because
Decentralized.
we've been talking about like the military is trying to print like at forward operating bases and stuff like that. So the IP related to printing a lot of these models or CAD designs, there still isn't a good practice on who owns the IP. So like to your specific scenario, Honda's got a thing that doesn't exist anymore. Like they're not going to produce it anymore. And there's no path to go through Honda, go through supply chain, get to who actually made it and say, hey, can you make me 10 parts? There's no path for that.
No.
So this is a problem that needs to be solved in the future eventually.
But I will say one last thing. There should have been an honorable mentions part to this article, and there was not. And that the machine that I would have put on here is an Ender. I don't know like the actual model, but like the company, it's like an Amazon 3D printer, Chinese company that sells their printers on Amazon. The Ender is very popular. I have seen the Ender referenced and used or attempted to be used in so many YouTube videos and car videos. It's a gateway drug to 3D printing because everybody starts with an Ender because they're dirt cheap and they're very hacker-esque, but they never work and they're always broken. And then somebody ends up leveling up to a Prusa or a Creality, which also wasn't on there, or ultimately you should end up at a Bamboo
Can
Lab.
you write Voxel Matters a letter and mail it to them about their need for honorable mention?
I'm sure they get letters from so many more people than me and that are smarter than me on this matter. So
Can I ask what were their criteria for disruptive?
I think we're just talking about these were
They
like,
just listed their 10 favorite 3D printers.
these were the
Whoever paid
probably
them.
like their 10 favorite or whoever paid them, yeah. Their 10 favorite 3D printers from like the beginning of at-home 3D printing to now. Like what's the bee's knees?
Yeah.
The Bamboo Lab,
And
Form Labs.
And to be fair, I mean, some of it is popularity because you do want something to work, and the ones that will work will become more popular. So one thing I did like about it is back to seeing the different designs of the constructions of the 3D printers. It was like the evolution of like the early printers
Yeah.
to ones you can buy off the shelf today. Like it's more of a like finished good.
Yeah.
Like the one that you mentioned earlier.
Absolutely.
It's like a Kiwi crate where you kind of put stuff.
Yeah,
pieces
it's
of
a
wood
kit.
together. Yeah, it's a kit.
There's plywood with burnt edges, so you
Yeah.
know it was cut on a laser cutter and held together with zip ties.
Yeah.
Love that.
Yeah.
Love that for you.
That's fun.
I'd have a hard time trusting a 3D printer that has zip ties holding it together.
That's fair.
Personally.
That's
wrong.
fair.
You're
but
not
if you
wrong.
look at this
I'm
this
looking at it
list,
like-
if you look at this list, I can tell you right now, you can't go wrong if the company has a lab in the name. Bamboo Labs or Form Lab, you're good.
Cool.
That's
Good to know.
that's what
I
you
like that
invest in.
criteria.
I'll,
to know.
Truly.
I'll
Yeah.
incorporate that
Go
in
with
my
Form Lab. There, remember Bamboo Labs. Get on that.
the company I'm starting. I'll make sure Labs is in my
Yeah.
corporation
What do you call it?
title.
Bin Labs.
Ben Labs.
Bin Labs.
I'd invest.
Me too. Me
public.
too. Immediately.
So
go public.
as we come close to Thanksgiving, one of the things that occurs a lot is making sandwiches from turkey.
Yeah.
I'm completely against that, but I want to have a conversation on sandwiches.
Completely against it.
I
I'll
love
get into it.
post Thanksgiving sandwiches, like with all the fixins, but I also agree. Turkey, like Sean, my housemate and our IT guy, does not or loves turkey on sandwiches.
Yeah.
No. Turkey's too gross and dry to be
Yes.
on a sandwich. Get out of here.
It's
Okay,
got to be.
you guys aren't getting it right.
It's got to be
Turkey.
deli cut. If I'm gonna have a turkey on a sandwich, it's
I'm
got to be
sorry.
the
What
thinnest
about
cut
dark
ever.
meat?
thin-
The dark meat turkey is amazing. on
Nobody
a
ever
sandwich.
slices that.
Nope.
Nobody ever
No.
slices that.
Let me
and it's
tell you.
never consistent.
Oh no,
and-
no!
and-
I mean, like
and-
from the turkey itself.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It's too broken. Like you can't put it on a sandwich unless it's in pieces.
Honey,
Well, yeah, but it
listen
still
to me,
works.
friends. Honey baked ham has a turkey and it's sliced.
Oh, I
and
thought you were
it's
saying
just
honey
like
baked ham. I was
it's
in
just
it.
sliced, and that's the best turkey you can get because it's like a thick slice where it literally kind of looks like ham, but it's not. It's
but
like
the company's
a
called
slice of
Honey
turkey.
Baked Ham, and their ham is what I'm going.
Their ham is good if you eat ham, but I don't eat ham.
But if their
So
ham is good, then their
Oh,
turkey
okay.
has
their
to be
turkey,
good.
we put
Okay.
that on a sandwich, put
If
some stuffing
This
on
just
it.
introduced so
Thank
many
you.
more parameters
If they
to
were-
the argument
if
that
they-
I don't apply to.
If they were honey baked labs, then we'd have a different conversation.
Fire.
So
You're right.
something I will say is that my family recently started moving away from turkey.
Okay.
So like
That's
this
the
year,
title.
my mom's not cooking anything. She has to get surgery next week. So like for Thanksgiving, she's not cooking anything.
Wow.
So we're like making a list of all this, me, my 4 siblings, and my brother-in-law, what we're all gonna make, and we're gonna do like a prime rib and then just like a turkey breast.
Ooh,
Nice.
okay.
Okay.
But like prime
I
rib
can
is like
live
our
with that.
big family holiday thing now.
That's a good call.
And that also that translates well to a sandwich.
That
Ramen,
does.
that's also great on ramen.
Ooh.
Like a couple the day or two
prime rib
later.
on ramen.
Yeah.
Okay, my
That's
brain went ramen sandwich, and I was like,
Ramen sandwich. Totally
not
down
back
for
in
that.
"How are you
college.
holding that?" Right. I'm like expecting like we used to do like
Mac and
spaghetti and
cheese
bread,
works on
and
a
you
sandwich.
like fold it. Yes.
So I do want to get, as we do travel quite a bit, and actually the weirdest place I like my sandwiches are like gas stations.
Yeah.
What's your
Oh,
favorite
heck
gas
yeah.
station sandwich
Wawa.
or place?
Sheets.
Sheets versus Wawa.
I say Wawa
need, like,
too.
a
One Wawa's
poll.
cheap.
Yeah,
that's
we need to
true.
do a poll: Sheets versus Wawa, because
Okay.
like Wawa's winning.
I have
Yeah.
sentimental value with Sheets because Sheets, I was introduced to it as a very young child, and it was revolutionary to me because you went into it. First off, I couldn't figure out the name. I was like, what do they mean, Sheets? It was like, and why are we
there's
going
the-
to this gas station for food? Because like my family did not do that growing up. I was with in a friend's car. We were going to his family's apple farm, and it was out in the country. So there was a
That's-
Sheets
that's
out
a
there.
bougie
There's
sentence.
Yeah,
no
his
Sheets.
family's
There's no
apple
Sheets in a
farm.
city like
So
around
real.
here. We gotta drive at least a half hour to get to a Sheets from
There's
where
one
we
in
live.
there's one in
There's
between
one in
Ashburn and
Manassas.
Fairfax.
Half hour away. That's a minimum half hour away. Sorry, proving my point. But Sheets, Like I thought it was like 3D printing, or an early impression of what I thought 3D was, like sheet printing.
I love that even child stuff was
And-
like 3D printing.
Right? I'm like,
My mom raised me on Star Trek. Like that one lady would always go to
Yeah.
the computer, and be like, "I want hot chocolate," and it would materialize in air, and that's where
Spy
people
Kids.
think the industry is
Period.
going. But sheets, like what really blew my mind more than anything was going into this gas station and ordering my food on a computer.
Yeah.
Because now that's commonplace.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
that was
That's
one of the
true.
first places that I saw it.
About 20 years
Okay.
ago. that
I have
was-
see.
that
I
was
have the
real.
same.
Yeah, decades ago.
I have the same nostalgia for Wawa. So when I was in like fourth, fifth, and sixth grade, I lived in Fredericksburg, and there's a lot of Wawas down in Fredericksburg, and it was cheap. And like I said, I have 4 siblings, so my parents would take us. We'd get a sandwich and chips and like all that stuff for like $30, and that my parents were good to go, right? But I should also say that I was a very easy to please child when it came to sandwiches because I like dry sandwiches. I don't like mayonnaise. I don't like
This is-
mustard. I don't like
second episode where
anything.
my like trust in Elissa. is
I know
gone.
it's diminishing. But like as a kid, this might say
Sandwich got to be wet.
this might reveal how poor my family was when I was growing up. My sister and I, we loved butter sandwiches, which was literally just straight up butter on bread,
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
butter and cheese sandwiches, which was literally just butter and cheese on bread.
Melissa loves a
like
cheese
a-
sandwich.
yeah.
Something about it, just like as a kid,
An
I was like,
uncooked
"Oh, this
grilled
is the
cheese.
greatest thing I've ever had." It's a grilled cheese, but it wasn't cooked. Like it was
Exactly.
just
Yeah.
raw. But like it's very unpopular in my family. I will say though, I love like Jersey Mike's because they do like the vinegar
Yeah.
and the oil.
What do you think of
That's probably my
tomatoes?
favorite. I like tomatoes.
Do you like to make?
I like
a
stuff on my
basic
sandwich. I just don't
mayo
like
and
sauce.
cheese sandwich? You know what would set that off? A few
Tomatoes.
slices of tomatoes.
Some balsamic vinegar.
Like that's
Ooh,
legitimately
balsamic
that's
vinegar.
naturally existing MSG right there on bread.
So next time we travel, let us know what your favorite gas station sandwich is.
Absolutely.
I do. The key thing I picked
was
up was
fun.
a lot of it was related to nostalgia. Back in my old facility, there was a new Wawa that opened up, and going with my friend Tim, would get there. The first time ordering sandwiches and like getting a line, then picking up like chips and whatever, and then checking out. So that was kind of a fun experience.
Their mac and cheese.
The mac and cheese.
Really?
I'd say
Oh,
that
it's like Stouffer's level mac and cheese.
my first like gas station experience that had food. I am still Team Wawa, but it was actually a Dodge's. So we
Wow.
moved from
Never heard of
Detroit to Tennessee.
I was gonna say, was that in-
and like
yeah.
down the street from like my dad's place that he lived in at the time? There was a Dodge's, and we went in there literally like just driving in, and we were like, "There's food in this gas station." And us being from Michigan, we were like, don't eat that. It's gas station food. This is like weird and uncommon. Do not
It doesn't
eat this.
feel right.
And then we got
But it
these
feels
like
so good.
potato
But it
wedges,
also
and it was
feels
like a potato wedge like the size of my hand.
I love that.
And I was like, I'm gonna eat this potato wedge. And my dad was like, all right, if you get sick, you're just gonna be sick. Best thing I've ever eaten. So shout out to Dodge's in
Respect.
Hendersonville, Tennessee. 'Cause
Respect.
One thing I do want to shout out real quick is in Virginia Beach, there's a place called Marlboro Brothers. It's a barbecue place, like down the street. Well, I know it.
I'm
It's,
sorry.
no, it is spelled
Yeah,
that way.
for real.
But it's like down the street from my grandparents' place, and it's a gas station. But the gas station has this barbecue place in it.
I
Oh,
want to try.
gas
And it
station
is
barbecue,
It is.
though?
I'm gonna
it
need
is-
it.
Different level.
It is like, don't get me wrong. I'm at heart. I'll always be a Pierce's Pit barbecue girl down in the Virginia Beach, Williamsburg area. I grew
Noted.
up going there.
Remind me
But
of this
Marlboro Brothers,
We'll,
Top
Because I
five.
go there a lot.
we'll continue this conversation on gas station food later.
yeah.
We're super real
Just
invested
real quick,
in this.
honorable mentions again though. We didn't mention Buc-ee's, which honestly kind of seems
I've never
like
been to a
a
Buc-ee's.
I've never
sin
been
a little
there
bit.
either.
And then Rofo, Royal Farms, really known for their chicken. And then
That's-
last thing that
their
I'm going to
chicken's
mention,
not
up
good.
in New England, my hunting and fishing buddy in New Hampshire would always tell me legends about Chester's chicken. And they'd find like the grimiest gas station and put one of their fast food chicken joints in the gas station. Chester's.
I've been to
Fire.
a Chester's.
I'm gonna create a new-
Royal
I'm
Farms
I'm done
isn't
now,
good.
promise.
New rule: no honorable mentions.
That's fair.
Ramia,
just
you and I will
kidding.
try and find a Buc-ee's at MFG.
Yes.
We'll be
Okay.
down in Texas.
Perfect.
Yes! Can I come?
Yes. We're taking a trip.
Before we get into our sponsor, I want to talk about AR glasses. There was a video that was released from Marquez Brown, MKHB. I
Yeah,
think.
Marquez Brownlee.
Marquez Brownlee, thank you. Talk about the next iteration of AR glasses /
is
spatial
big.
computing. So he got some behind the scenes from Meta and Snapchat on
Yeah.
some. It's tough to call it consumer grade equipment, but they're marketing towards mass consumption. But What do you guys think about that video? Do you guys see, because we saw the Apple Vision come out last year, which is not realistic for anyone to
Right.
walk around in or actually use like a true walkabout AR glasses, but these new iterations are very fascinating to me.
So I'll say, as an Apple hater, I did have faith in Apple, and I was like, if anybody can make AR work, because we've seen it, like, products come to market and then fail almost instantly for the past 5 years, and it's like, AR might just be vaporware. Like, AR might not be for IRL. And I thought, if anybody can make this work and actually sell products, it's Apple. And they couldn't, which is really, like, upsetting. And it's like, maybe, like, you know, I don't like the guy, but maybe Steve Jobs could have done it. Anyway, another point I want to mention, Meta has been kind of, like, going for this, and so has the two companies mentioned in this video have silently been working on eyeglass wearables for like the past decade.
Yeah.
Because one of the first smart glasses that I bought for my now wife was the Snapchat spectacles. And then, like, literally more than 5 years later, Meta releases the Meta Ray-Bans, which are a direct ripoff of the original Snapchat spectacles from 5 years before. And it was only a matter of time before those two were going fist to fist at each other with AR glasses. And I'm really happy to see that here. And I thought it would be Apple, but I was happily wrong. And
Didn't Google do it though?
yeah, but
Google Lens?
Google
Is
did
that
have
what
the
it was?
Google Lens or
Yeah.
Google Glasses, and man,
So the early iteration, Google
those
had
people
one.
got beat up. Behind.
Microsoft had the HoloLens. They still have it. And
I've never heard of that, so I guess that says
Same.
enough about
Couldn't-
it.
Yeah, and it's a
Couldn't have
big
been
Google.
successful.
It's big, massive.
Yeah, like
headset.
these are for people who are like from Silicon Valley that never touch grass. Like
Yeah.
not tech bros. These are tech nerds.
No, I agree. I feel like Apple's, like, whatever those things are called, were not for the normal consumer. They're for people with throwaway money
Yeah.
who can just
YouTubers.
do things with it. Yeah. Like influencers.
This is a wearable Cybertruck.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
exactly wearable
Just as ugly.
Cybertruck.
Just
You
as
were
ugly.
100% correct.
I do want to
That's
hit
disgusting.
on the video hits on a
Elon
couple
Musk.
of solutions because the previous designs, so we talk about the HoloLens, Google Glasses, even Apple's current iteration, the Apple Vision, they had a lot of problems. One was computing power. So like where do you process information? Right? So if it's on the glasses, right, you're wearing a big helmet.
But the thing looks like GPNG 40s.
And,
HoloLens
and on the
looks
video,
ugly.
They should put like a built-in like croaky, and then it's just wired and like there's like a base.
yep.
You know, and I think that's the
So the
solution.
very best night vision goggles you can buy as a civilian cost you $40,000, and they're the GPNVG 40s. And there's a big battery pack on the back of your head, and then 4 image intensifying tubes on the back. That's what the Vision Pro looked like, but
Right.
wasn't anywhere near as cool.
And in this next iteration from Meta and Snapchat, they actually have off glass computing. So
it
they had
uses-
Marquez had a like a wristband that helped with detection, hand controls, but also had some computing power built into it too. So, but you hit on a key point, right? The battery life. So towards the end of the video, it mentions like I think it was Meta's glasses were like an hour long. The Snapchat you can get like 45 minutes because the battery's built into the glasses, which you have limitations on size
Yeah.
and
That's
the
what I'm telling
heat
you,
and
the
all that
croaky.
stuff. That's one of the drawbacks they currently have, but the iterations are slowly getting there.
Yeah.
And the new thing that they Marquez hit on was instead of using optical sensors to see like hand motion and stuff like that, particularly if you have an app that's on your glasses and you're just scrolling through it. Say you got TikTok or something like that, you're scrolling through it. You're using optical sensors to see your fingers and stuff like that. What they're picking up are the electrical sensors within the muscles from that sensor.
Wow.
So the evolution of how these glasses are integrating into the humans, it's very fascinating to see. You don't always have to have a single sensor to solve all your problems. You get into sensor fusion where you can combine the kind of signals and things like that.
Not everything needs to be done with a vision system.
Yep.
Elon.
I just want to put out one point for the Vision Pro. In the commercial, their like advertising was that you can have like a Slack in your face, and I don't think anyone needs that.
No.
So
We don't need that.
that's just
It's already in my face enough.
exactly. That's kind of rude and
I
disrespectful.
want
I don't
AR
even
for
read
2
my Slacks
reasons.
like that.
I want AR for 2 reasons. I want the time in like the lower right hand or left hand corner of my vision so I don't have to check. I think that would be
Period.
cool, and I want a crosshair.
Don't you love watches though?
Watches.
Yeah,
So-
I do love watches,
You know,
but
like in
that's
video
like the ultimate
games?
watch is one constantly in your vision.
The video games, they have your like lifespan and stuff. That's
Yeah.
what I want. I want my like personal battery. I want like a
social
vision, like,
battery, so I
time
can show
to eat.
people
Yeah.
I'm dry. I need to leave.
Stop talking to me. The
Time to go.
My social battery's at 2%. Actually, I think I need to go home.
You don't.
That's my
you don't have
like,
to go home,
favorite
but
excuse.
you gotta get the heck out of here.
So the video talks about the pros and cons. Right now, they're not for release just yet, but if they did have to go to market, obviously ask the question. Well, the one glass is $25,000. So clearly,
Which one?
That's a car.
I don't remember.
Please.
They only mentioned the price of one, but realistically, it's not at market yet.
the down payment on a house.
But the problem is, Marquez hits it on a little bit, and the reason why they want to go to market now is they need a bunch of use cases. So Meta and Snapchat don't fully understand the end use case. What they're doing is technology preparation, where they say, here's the ecosystem, figure out what are the use cases. And he actually hit on two parallels that I think translate to manufacturing. One was he's interested in learning how to play the guitar. So using the AR glasses, right? If the AR glasses could point or provide recommendations on how to play a guitar, I think that's fairly straightforward. And the
That's cool,
parallel
yeah.
would be like training and manufacturing, right?
Yeah.
And if
Must
you have
be
a new
down bad.
operator, then you could easily, have the glasses say, push this button, don't push that button, stay out of this red zone, right?
Yeah.
The other scenario, and he talked about this on a plane, which the parallel would be kind of in situation information. So the scenario he talked about was like if he's on a plane and it's like, oh, that's a cool mountain range. What is that mountain range, right? And a name will pop up and a topographical map or something like that. Information related to that. I think that gets into manufacturing. You're like, what is that part? What's that part number? What's that serial number, right? So that actually went through a scenario when in the video he looked at a table, it had a bunch of food. It was laid out and it was well lit, so it was kind of playing to that scenario. But it had a name of each of the items, like a pineapple, a box of cereal, the cereal name, and stuff like that. And he asked, okay, what can you make for me? And it came up with a list. But that type of information on demand,
cool.
I think that is growing relevancy
That
for
seems
us.
like, I'm sorry, this is going to be an unpopular opinion, but that seems like so much work, but at the same time, so lazy. Like, I don't know how
Okay,
to
but like
describe
think
it.
about it in a way for people who have like gluten sensitivity.
No,
or
yeah,
something
like that
and
I
they're,
can
like,
see,
you
like,
can
the
look at an
benefits,
item and
yeah.
be like, no, this has like gluten.
But
in
if you're
it,
just
or,
like the average Joe.
underlying
Yeah, yeah.
like issues,
Yeah.
stuff like that.
But
yeah.
if you're on a manufacturer floor, like, what is that part?
No,
Like,
yeah,
I
that
don't
would
know what it
definitely
is,
be
right?
useful. Yeah. I
So
agree.
I thought it was a fun video. I definitely would recommend taking a look at it. Before we get into the rest of the content, Rubia, you want to tell us about today's sponsor?
Yes. Tune in for Modern Machine Shop's Made in the USA podcast to explore manufacturing issues faced by companies making an intentional choice to manufacture in the U.S. Featuring commentary from OEM leaders, Made in the USA blends its nearly century-long expertise with a unique audio storytelling experience to shine a spotlight on the past, present, and future of American manufacturing. Find Made in the USA on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and all major podcast platforms. Follow Modern Machine Shop on Twitter, Facebook, and LinkedIn.
Thanks, Rubia.
Anytime.
Before we get into an article, Steve, I know Kyle was up here from Georgia Tech.
While ago, pre-IMTS.
Cyber Kyle.
No, and after IMTS,
It was
sorry.
after.
After
Cyber
IMTS.
Kyle.
It was such a blur. Honestly, I have such a brain fog from IMTS, honestly.
And he was helping us with the automation process on the Pocket NC and the testbed. You want to tell us what he's been up to?
That's right. While I don't have any personal updates with the test bed, other than what I mentioned last time, the computer's up and running, we built it successfully, we did it, yay. He is brainstorming and working on planning some automation solutions for our test bed to minimize the human interaction with it. Obviously, we want to use the test bed to learn on it hands-on, but we want to, in the meantime, our goal is to create a fully autonomous manufacturing cell with our test bed just to show that it can be done and on a budget and with the tools that AMT has. Kyle has been helping us greatly with that, but one of the roadblocks that he's ran into with designing the one of the things that we need to automate is it would just he determined that it would really help if he had the exact same Pocket NC model down in Georgia Tech. So they ordered one, the exact same model that we have. It has been taken a while to ship, but it finally got there last week, and I didn't realize it until I was on a call with him this past Monday, and he's actually assembled a total replica of the test bed that we have.
That's cool.
And
What a
when
copycat.
but like then I realized that's the idea. Like
Right.
the whole point was we made this test bed on a super limited budget, so nobody has an excuse not to do the exact same thing that
I
we
take
did.
back my copycat comment.
No. But I'm glad you say that because like there's rationale to it. So that's the update right now. Kyle's sending me some things, some ideas that he has that I'm going to share with the rest of the team, and yeah, things are moving forward.
That's good.
I just don't
That's
know
exciting.
exactly what
No,
in specific.
I've been exploring some of the websites about automated fixturing and clamping, stuff like that. It's back to our boundaries. So,
Yeah.
like, we don't have an air compressor. Running an air compressor in office doesn't make sense. So, some of the work holding I was looking at required air. So, I think the iterations and the fact that Kyle was able to copy and paste with that, because he spent one day up here basically.
Yeah.
And he flew back, and I know he's got work to do. He's actually doing work.
Yeah.
So, I know there was a delay on where he got started, but for him to just replicate what we had down there with no interaction from us, he just saw the equipment that we had and then bought everything online from us.
And now they're using a much nicer robot.
Sure.
Not to say that there's anything bad about the iGist, but they have robots lying around.
Right,
They don't
right.
need to worry about the budget for like they've got. No, I wouldn't say lying around,
Well,
but
they're called Georgia Tech,
They've
so I
got
would kind of hope
$70,000
so.
robots on hand. Like they have a coalition of the willing.
I want to get into some AI. You passed along an article about. It's an interesting conversation. So the title is Perplexity CEO offers AI companies services to replace striking New York Times staff.
I'm so sad about this.
This is such a spicy
messed
topic.
up.
So the reason this
That's
comes
a
up
bad word.
was
I have like a 40-day streak right now.
we like Perplexity. Some of our staff has been
Love
using.
Perplexity.
And the idea was the New York Times Tech Guild announced a strike, which is fine. That's the whole point of a
As they
union,
should.
as they should. There's been a lot of strikes recently, so it's in the news. The workers were
being bought by Amazon.
the workers were looking to provide, or the workers provide
Who bought it?
software support and data analysis for the Times, and they're looking for wage increases and some other benefits. Your standard reasons why you see a strike, right? The reason it escalated quickly was, Perplexity is a growing and useful AI tool that we see a lot of trust being built into it. And then the problem is it got into a Twitter war with the CEO and the interpretation of where they're headed. And the reason I bring this up is the interpretation of AI is a very similar parallel to automation and robotics, where the CEO specifically said Perplexity is on standby to ensure your essential coverage is available to all through the election. DM me anytime here. And that got interpreted as we don't need the staff. Perplexity is going to fill what they need. Obviously, it got blown out of proportions, the image and the sentiment related to it. And then later on, he clarified that, no, we're just here to support, because election is important. We want to make sure New York Times provides the valuable information to their readers. But the sentiment to AI, the use case that we have now, is very similar to automation, where like, let's take the jobs away. Like, no. AI is not meant to do that.
It's a tool.
Just want to.
First off, I would like to apologize for interrupting you while you were trying to lay everything out, claiming that Amazon and Bezos had bought New
They bought
York
the
Times.
Washington Post.
I just corrected myself.
Microsoft
and I feel very
X-
bad about that.
Microsoft X, Notion, and OpenAI approached Perplexity to purchase, though.
Yeah. But they haven't been bought. They're still
To
haven't
purchase
been bought yet.
Perplexity.
Right.
Yeah, I'm really sad about it because I love my New York Times games. And
Yeah,
I
I just took
if I
this-
play them, it's crossing the picket line, and that's
We
real
support-
complicated for me.
That came up also. The technology to support the industry as they're going on strike was like, which people do cross the picket line. My wife was a nurse in the hospital, and she was part of the union. It was like, these patients need to be helped. So she crossed the picket line a couple of times. Like, there's nothing she could do about
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
But the fact you have technology,
But my New York
crossing
Times
the-
games aren't life or death.
right?
Right.
So
Yet.
it was an interesting conversation related to the perception of AI and how we talk about it.
Well,
Yeah.
I'm glad you guys, and I had to check myself on New York Times because I like them.
Good
because
for
they
you.
don't own. They're not owned by Bezos,
And
and I
think-
respect them.
And I think this is-
respect Perplexity too. But I also hope the strikers get what they want.
Yeah.
I think this is a good feed in because Elissa found a really good article
Yeah.
about Apple, and I think the future of AI, and I'm nervous about not necessarily the use cases of it, but the underlying thing where AI comes from.
But if it was the Washington Post, no, pound sand. Perplexity, move in.
Pound sand.
So Apple has offered up to $1 million to anyone who can hack its AI servers.
Bold.
So Apple has obviously been talking a lot about the new AI features for the 15 Pro, Pro Max, and iPhone 16. And a lot of people, so I know Sean, when we were at IMTS, Sean did it so he changed it so that the AI was updated, or he bought the new phone so he could have the AI update.
I signed up for the beta.
Oh.
Yeah. And like it summarizes your text messages, like your Slack messages, like it does all that for you. It was kind of funny though, because I did see a tweet where someone was like, someone's mom like texted them and was like, this, this hike nearly killed me. And then the person's AI was like, mother trying to kill herself or something.
It was like went on hike suicidal or something like that.
It was like wild.
Yeah.
That's fun.
Because like by context clues, that's what the AI thought.
Yeah.
So I'm just gonna say that. That's another reason why I don't think AI is gonna take over the world. But yeah. So Apple is they're continuing to roll out their AI features. So it's offering bounties from $50,000 to up to $1 million to anyone who finds a bug or a major issue. So this is for hackers as well as privacy and security professionals and researchers to verify the security claims it's made. Bottom line, Apple guarantees it protects all the data on your iPhone by keeping it on the device, which is known as on-device or local processing. If a complex AI task needs to be handed off to more powerful computers in the cloud, PCC servers running custom Apple chips, the company promises it'll use this is in quotes, your data only to fulfill your request and never store it, making sure it's never accessible to anyone, including Apple, unquote.
Wow.
And I do, I mean, so
believe
taking a step back, right? Offering bounties for finding bugs, that thing
Yeah.
has existed for a long time, right? Apple's not innovating in that space there.
No, they're not.
But they're doing, a
But they're
traditional
claiming
path.
they did, as per usual.
So I do, that side of it's fine, but I do like the idea because the concept that we've been talking about a little bit early days of the podcast was security in manufacturing. There was a project a long time ago, Virginia Tech was interested in industrial security. And they did a couple of tests. One was the idea of how do you bring down a manufacturing line? You have the brute force of it's a business. You can inject it with ransomware, which you see cases now of just shutting down the business operations cascades of manufacturing, which is fine. But the subversive context of that was what happens if I induce a flaw into the part? Right. So if I'm 3D printing a part or if I'm subtractively manufacturing a part, have it build a flaw, a bubble, or a defect that not detectable, but that's not part of the design process. So you mask it in the manufacturing process, then you mask it in the quality side of it, in the metrology, and now you've got a defective part in the field that they're hoping for fails in use. That's the super villain type process, but they did demonstrate that it is possible to kind of mask those processes in the manufacturing process line. And I think this gets into where we are today of, obviously I think they're interested in kind of the data related to processing AI, but I'm very interested in kind of where they're interested in protecting, the training sets or the core information that the AI is feeding off of. To your point of the hike, right? The AI model assumes someone's trying to kill itself. That training set to achieve that, has real life that existed somewhere, and
Someone had to type that out in the AI.
exactly right.
Sorry.
So someone had to train it,
beware.
it came with a data set, and that's what I'm concerned about, right? And I think Apple's taking a very good approach of like test everything we can, and then protect kind of the core side of it, both the data side of it, the personal data, because that's easily extractable. Another scenario that came up was when fingerprinting was a thing on phones when it first came out, like that was fairly easily hackable at the university level. We went to a couple of university research, like, yeah, I could do that. I was like, well, that's not cool.
That's not good.
But stealing that biometric information is, a cause for alarm.
Yeah.
So stealing the surface information, but also getting to the core to feed other things that will steer you wrong in the future. That's what I'm very nervous about. So
I feel like the more secure we make things, the more accessible we make them.
the more trust.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess I'm just
It's a
thinking.
shift
I'm
in
like,
trust.
Yeah.
I'm like, if I just put in my code, that could be hacked. But like, I feel like it's almost easier at this point in time to like replicate my face than it is
Right.
to replicate the code.
Yep.
Have you
Deepfake.
guys seen that thing where the Smile movie, Smile 2,
Yeah.
where you have to like smile? There's like a thing going around where
You can watch the first 7 minutes.
Yeah, if you smile the whole time.
Yeah.
And people are like, they're just stealing your face. Like,
Yeah.
come on. There's no other need for that. They're just stealing all of your facial
Wow.
identities.
Yeah.
So,
Yep.
seems
just-
easy enough to get it. Why not? People are just giving it away.
Exactly.
My take on this article, because you definitely asked for it, is that
I brought it to the podcast.
number one, like it's not new. Like many companies have asked people to like give us your best shot, try to hack us, and then saying that it's a $1 million bounty. And it's like that's chump change for Apple. Like that's really nothing for them. So either there's a lot of people who are going to be cashing out on this, or I don't know. I just feel like this is an interesting way to spin and market the fact that Apple is hiring contractors to do QC.
I mean, that's one take. That's fine. That's the way of the gig business, though.
Honestly, make it not feel like a job or sound like a
They're
job.
technical
This is a job.
mercenaries.
Today's episode sponsored by Apple.
Yeah.
Apple's like, if you bring us the head of our technology, we'll give you $1 million.
And with that, Ramia, do you mind telling the people where they can find more info about us?
amtonline.org/resources. Like, share, subscribe.
Bing bong.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.